press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. And this is a special day for these three people. And, to be part of it's great and amazing, and for you guys to be here in fellowship, it's truly just, I know it means a lot to them. So as I introduce our first presenter, once again, the Hall of Fame Chairman of the Board and the Hall of Fame member, Coach Mike Lightfoot, will present Eric Brandon.
Emotions, Eric, by doing this, because one, I feel honored to do it, but I also feel disappointed that JD's not doing it, because it would be a great roast. I would just enjoy the humor that would be a part of that. But Eric Brand, as you can see, his credentials on your brochure in front of you is pretty amazing. He's only a Bethel basketball player, played in 4 national championship games, won 3 of them. His senior year, he led us in every statistic offensively. And I would say without question, he's probably the most improved player from his freshman year to his sophomore year, to his junior year, to the senior year that I've ever coached or I've ever witnessed playing at the collegiate level, at our level. The things that I'd like to just share about Eric was not only he's been a great player, but I think that over the years he really matured. When he first came in, I was convinced that 18-year-olds could be 12-year-olds again. Because the parents would definitely agree that Eric had a great way of connecting with, especially with Robbie and Ryan, who were in their elementary and junior high age, because he was about that level. But then you could see the incredible growth. And as that growth continued on the court, continued in the classroom, continued on campus, and it's been amazing to see how he is now impacting lives as he played overseas for a number of years, was involved in Athletes in Action, has done incredible things there. And now he has a tremendous opportunity in really a dark world of the NCAA Division I, where there can be a lot of negatives. He can make a big impact on the lives of the young men now he coaches. So at this time, I'd like to honor, it'd be a great honor to honor Eric Brand at this time as he comes up. There was just one other quick thing I forgot, but I wanted to say on behalf of Jackie and I, this is our 3rd son. Every once in a while you get one that you just kind of adopt, and this is our 3rd son. So Eric, thank you.
Trying to throw it off. That was for Jody, because Jody was all about making sure we were organized with our speech before we started. Man. This was really interesting. First of all, before I really start, I want to congratulate April and AJ. You guys deserve it. I don't know if I do. The other thing Coach talked about was, I scored a lot of points. I probably gave up just as many. But I also want to thank Jody and Sylvia and everybody else who had everything to do with this. This is really nice. And man, I didn't know where to begin. I still don't. I didn't really write anything ahead of time. I wanted to come back, being gone and doing everything that I've done, not that it's special or anything, but always been so goal-oriented. It's stuff that I learned from these guys. Next game, everything's behind. And I don't really get a chance to reminisce very much. And I really try to do it this weekend. Got to do it with some great roommates. Don't look at me. Some great teammates. And, you don't even realize sometimes we get so busy, and especially, coaches out there know that there's not a lot of time. But it was nice this weekend. Feel loved again. Not that I don't feel loved in other places, but it's different. And this place is always home. And first people I really want to thank is my family. I look out. My brother and my parents, and there's so much sacrifice going into it. I remember Dad driving me every game here, and there's just a lot of sacrifice that goes in. Coaches and their families, your own family.
I told him I'd do this. The hardest part about this whole weekend was, Tanner over here, who was the same age as Ryan when I was a freshman. I just thought about that today. Ryan was about going into 5th grade when I came up here. And, gosh, but I missed his football game yesterday. We sat down and we talked, and he took it like a man, understood that this was important to me. But I'm going to tell you, you guys around this area, you watch out, because the next couple of years, football-wise, wrestling, you're going to hear his name all over the place. He's going to be a great athlete. Got none of it from his dad. And I just want to tell him, and Hallie is a beautiful little sister right there. I don't have any children, and but that they're like mine, and I love them with all my heart. So I wanted to make sure I told you guys that. I want to thank my coaches. Coach Place, Mike, Tony, Danny, kind of. Actually, Danny's part of the reason I was so good. He kept helping me from the sidelines during our practices. But Coach Hess, I don't know where we are. Coach Hess was always good to pick on me, especially as a freshman. And I got to see Coach Goddard earlier today. But you guys always felt you were there for me. Always felt you were pushing me. Sometimes I pushed back and you didn't like it, and I understand that now since I'm a coach. The only difference was I'm still bigger than my players. Luckily I was dumb then and I just followed orders most of the time. But I can't thank you enough. I don't know if what stands before you is good, great, or average, but anything that's good came from you guys. And I take that on what I'm trying to instill in my players right now. And trying to do it the best I can. I don't know if I can keep it up to your level. My teammates, man, one thing about this award, especially for me, it's really not an individual award. I've played with so many great players. You couldn't even go down the list. As a young big, I tell my guys all the time, and players want to play right away now, but the best thing that ever happened to me was to play behind 3 guys that just beat the tar out of me my first year, and to learn from them, and then to be able to step in. I had great guards that, for the first couple of years, the reason I was able to score some points was because I just stood under the basket, caught it, and put it in because they were doing their thing. But the leadership from our upperclassmen, I hope carried it on to some of my teammates and on. It was really, really interesting yesterday. I had so much fun just being out there again. I was hurting half the time, but it was great. And sometimes you don't realize how much. I had a lot of pride where I am now, but it's never going to probably match what was here. And we did something. I tell my guys all the time, at our level, we're trying to just win one championship. And I think so much time it's so hard to win a championship nowadays that for us to do what we did, to consistently be at a high level, I can't get my kids to understand it. And because not very many people have been in my boat. And I feel blessed, and most of it's not me, it's because of the guys that I work with. And I'm just thankful for them. I love them. I want to talk about roommates for a second. I'm very lucky. Some of my roommates, especially my sophomore year, where there were 7 of us, we were a rambunctious group, to say the least. But we almost all of us were able to get together last night, and we just kind of hung out and told stories. JD spoke most of the time. My brother, who would have been part of our house if he could have, but I'm really glad I have so many solid relationships with you, and very lucky. There's a couple people that I want to thank that aren't really related to basketball with me. One of them is Dave Schmidt. Coach talking about an immature guy. if he took care of me on the court, Dave Schmidt took care of me on the classroom. He luckily had me in 5 or 6 or 7 classes. I don't know how many it was, but he always seemed to. My goal was to get Dave Schmidt off topic. And after a while, I don't know if it was the 3rd or 4th class, he was just like, Eric, we'll talk about it after class. And that sucked. But, you know, and everyone noticed to me how much you cared. And I really, really thank you, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much. The other person I want to thank is Lauren Oak. Along those same lines, nobody but him and I really know. There was a time I was going through some things, and he really helped me put it in perspective. And I really think a lot of the things that I was able to go was because you cared. And I don't know why, but you've always been somebody that we don't talk as much as we used to, but always been somebody that I know I can be always up front and know you love. So I appreciate that. You know, I wanted to keep this mostly people. I really wanted to keep it during this time that I played here, just because I wanted it to be about that. A couple of people I really want to thank, though, is Paul and Tanya. When I do come back and coach, gave me a job. You know, without them, I don't think I'm a Division I coach. I appreciate it because they allowed me, especially Paul, to bridge the gap. There was a time here where I was done playing. Well, we call it the Elkhart Express. I was playing, goofing around a little bit, and I was helping out here in the mornings, but I was working for him, and he allowed me that time to figure out what I wanted to do, which allowed me to not take a job in Australia and hang out, and Scott Drew called and allowed me to go down to Bethel 2 months later. And without them and his heart, don't know where I'd be right now. I'm sure I'd still have something to do with basketball. But just want to really thank you. And just to close, I'm really happy to be a part of this group. And thank you for all your time. I thank you for everyone being here. And God bless.
Each inductee gets a plaque. Action photos on top. Afterwards, they come up here and see them. They're actually going to be located above the exit sign. So people will go see. Some of the accolades, once again, this is a group we could not get everything on here, so hopefully we touch on the important ones. They all get a certificate from the Hall of Fame board, so that's the first thing I want to present to you there. Then a small plaque, as well as being inductees. Thank you. Our next presenter